For one final time in our second segment of the season, we welcome you to Richmond, Virginia for tonight's coverage of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series on your home for the Fast Racing League, the North American Sim Racing Network. Tonight, it's the Virginia Showdown here at the Richmond Raceway. Pleasant good evening, everybody tuning in to tonight's live coverage here on the North American Sim Racing Network of race number 12 of the season. Here at Strawberry Hill, the action track here at Virginia. And on the North American Sim Racing Network, my name is Trey Wright, joined alongside by Rich Roy. And Rich, one final race for all the marbles here for the end of segment number 2. Even though, pretty much seems that we got a championship pretty much figured out here tonight with Randall Coleman essentially locking up the championship coming into the race. The big question for him is he going to be able to sweep the chase? He's fastest, rather third fastest on the board right now, behind Joshua Moyers and RJ Bishop. Could we see one of the more dominant stretches we've ever seen here on the NASRN, with a driver winning all 4 races in the chase here for the Fast RPCS?
Well, Randall's definitely a driver, one of the drivers to do it, and it's possible he could do that. However, he's got a few names to beat in order to do that, mainly Dylan LaPrade and Zach Rogers. Those two will not be making his life any easier to sweep the chase, not including the 3 or 4 other drivers who are in contention for tonight's race.
Absolutely, with 6 drivers right now putting down a lap time. A look at Zach Rogers in that problematic insurance car, trying to get his first win of the season. You got Tyler Stolhood, you got RJ Bishop, as Rogers now top of the boards with a 20.985. And those are the only 3 cars out on track right now with just under 10 minutes to go in practice. You got Oscar Ramos Jr., Oscar Ramos Jr., Randall Coleman will be having the 47 of Dylan LaPrade in here in just a few moments. But Richmond, we saw in the Cup race last night, we've seen in years past, it's a very interesting racetrack. It's 3/4 of a mile. It races a lot like your traditional short track, where you got 14 degrees of banking in the corners. It's a really grippy racetrack. But it looks like a lot of these drivers here tonight, they're going to be dealing with a relatively loose setup. I don't know if you got a chance to do some hot laps on this version yet, Rich, but it seems like this is a very loose setup that these guys are going to be dealing with here this evening.
Yeah, Zach Rogers said something about the setup being looser than he would like. So, on top of being aggressive, we're going to have to be very easy on the throttle and on the brakes, because if you are on the throttle too early, you're going to go backwards. If you're on the brakes too early or too late, you're going to go backwards. So, you're going to see a mix of some conservative driving followed by some real aggressive spurts. That being said, Richmond is, well, again, you say it yourself, multiple lanes, multiple grooves. We should be in for a very exciting race tonight.
We absolutely should be and it's hard to believe it's already been 12 weeks on the calendar here for segment number 2 of the RPCS. And I mean, you go back to the very beginning of the season, race number 1, the night of the Coke 600. 12, 13 weeks ago, I'm trying to remember I believe we did have an off week here between Indianapolis and Iowa. It's been 13 weeks on the card already, Rich, and, a lot has transpired. Again, we went to, in the beginning of this segment, just a handful of days after the unfortunate the tragic passing of Kyle Busch, and, so much has changed here, not only, in the RPCS, but also just real-life NASCAR with, case in point, Joey Logano is once again, bringing out the even year second half of the season nonsense, where he won last night, second win of the season for J-Lo in that 22 car. I'm telling even year Logano is a true thing. We see it so many times. We joke about it all the time here in the NASCAR community, but ultimately, it's a real thing, and we're seeing it here with that team just turning on the heat, trying to pull a little bit of a Jimmy Johnson, locking up 10th in the chase, going into the chase, and then really turning on the heat at a lot of tracks that really suit his driving style.
I mean, you mentioned it. He's pulling off a Jimmy Johnson strategy. Figure out what tracks he's good at and only focus on those tracks at the end of the year. Thankfully, for all parties involved, Joey Logano isn't running tonight, which is probably for the best.
I would say so. That would bring in some viewers. You know what? I wouldn't care. We could have like any NASCAR driver. We could have Quinn Houff drive in here tonight, and I would accept that because, hey, you know what? It puts some butts in seats. It's a recognizable name. Again, I was watching the Slap Shoes video about, name the worst Cup driver you can think of. They're still on the top, like 1% of people that drive for a living.
Yeah, true. Do you think that Quinn Houff has ran on NR2003 before? That's the biggest question.
I mean, hey, we got a laundry list of drivers that have ran in 2003 before. Obviously Dale Earnhardt Jr., Denny Hamlin, Martin Truex Jr. Hamlin Truex Jr. Used to run in the Hobo Racing League all the way back in the day when the league is still active. You can find that on Tuesday nights over on Andrew Miller's channel for Top Dragster for Hobo Racing Night in America on Tuesday evenings here on YouTube. But you've got those drivers. You got a couple of other drivers. Josh Berry, I feel like more is on the iRacing side of things than on the Inter 2003 side of things. But again, that just speaks to how effective this game is, as a simulator, to being able to where it was famously used by real life drivers. Now, of course, everybody's transitioning over to iRacing, and again, iRacing is built off of the code from Enter 2003, so it still lives on as a useful tool for everybody in the NASCAR Cup Series. So overall, again, it's such a valuable resource, both as a simulator and as a driving game, and it's so much fun. We always have so much fun out here. There's John Foreman in the 7 machine, heading out on track. I just had a massive frame rate lag going into turn 1. That might be an issue for us tonight. BBMC tracks, as detailed as they are and as beautiful as they look, they are a little bit of a pain in the tuchus when it comes to frame rates, and we'll see that here a little bit tonight. Hopefully, knock on wood, it won't be too much for the PC to handle, but hey, you never know. We got some contingency plans in place.
You have absolutely jinxed it. I'm going to end up doing the first half of this race radio style.
Yeah, probably.
Actually, you want 2 more drivers who ended up run an ARPA fact? ARCA drivers Brandon Laster and Tim Goulet Jr. Both have made, actually, I know Laster's made a Maverick start. I think Goulet has ran a few fuel races in the past few years.
Yeah. Yeah, I know Timmy's been in here a couple of different times. I didn't realize Brayton ran in 2003. Well, we'll try and get him on here on Wednesday nights. I know he's ran Maverick a few times. I know that. I don't know when his last Maverick start was. We'll try and reach out to him. We'll have as Tyler Stallhood goes up in the stratosphere. James Moore in the 07. We'll try and get former Rise Racing crew chief Matthew Rice sitting at my 11 o'clock to see if Brayton Laster can do a couple of fuel races. So he's grabbing his collar right now. Like I don't know about that one, Slim Jim. Moore putting some hot laps down.
So a few notes about Richmond as I'm assuming we're watching James Moore. Pit lane's going to be a fun little challenge. If you look at the entrance of pit lane, you're going to see an orange cone as I struggle to find a car passing pit lane. That orange cone, you must have all 4 tires beneath that. Actually, it's not really a cone, it's a box. You must have all 4 tires underneath that box, or else you will be serving a 30-second penalty in the pit lane.
Absolutely. I can't tell you throughout how many NASCAR racing games I've played, Richmond has always been one of my least favorite tracks to go to solely based off of that pit entry. And again, you see it on your screen just how tricky of a pit lane this is to get off onto here at Strawberry Hill. Even like, I go back to NASCAR racing, or rather NASCAR the Game 2011, even just touching the commitment line slightly when you're going through 3 and 4 would cause you to hit the pit lane when you don't want to pit. So ultimately that's more of a Eutechnics issue and something I've got with umbrage with Eutechnics over Richmond. But again, it's a very tough track to drive. They don't call it the action track for no reason, Rich. 3/4 of a mile, and we're going to be doing 140 laps for just north of 100 miles here this evening, with the stages ending at laps 45 and 90. And we should be seeing about 2 rounds of pit stops here at about 60 to 62 laps. So this race goes caution-free. We'll be seeing 2 rounds of pit stops, probably 3 or 4 if we get a couple of cautions pockmarketing the race. And Tire fall-off's going to be another big thing here tonight. We saw it a lot on Friday evening at the Fuel Sportsman race at Myrtle Beach. And this track, it's a little bit more banked than Myrtle Beach is. We got 14 degrees of banking instead of 9 degrees, if memory serves me right, for Myrtle Beach. But, again, tire wear to short track, it's always going to be a factor.
I would compare this track closer to Iowa. Same shape, similar length. I think the banking's a little bit more on Iowa. I actually don't know about Iowa, but you can run multiple different groups at both tracks. A little bit more difficult at Iowa than it is here, but it is possible as RJ Bishop goes for a nice little drift into turn 1 and 2. Nope, never mind, he's around.
He's going to spin that Quicken Loans Ford around in that double 9 car. I didn't even remember. We were talking about it last week, but Iowa was built off of trying to be a perfected version of the Richmond Raceway. When Rusty Wallace built that 20 years ago. It's, again, we said it last week and we'll say it again. It's hard to believe that Iowa is 20 years old. Richmond is probably, I don't know if I think it's like 60-something years old, something around that, 75-something years old. I think they just celebrated 75 years.
I think they celebrated 75 recently. I just don't know when they celebrated 75.
1946, so 80 years for Richmond Raceway as of this year.
It has gone through 2 variations, at least to my knowledge. One was a simple oval, similar to a flat Dover, and now we have this wonderful configuration, which I'm going to be honest, I think is better.
Definitely is, and of course, Rich. Anything with the word "rich" in the name is definitely going to be up your alley. As there's Dunlaprod in that Lazarus 47, hometown kid from the Old Dominion state of Virginia. But it's Randall Coleman, presumptive champion once he takes the green flag. Will be the fastest in practice coming into tonight. 9 cars putting down a lap time here this evening.
And we're going to have 10 take the start because Corey Stallhood has joined the server.
Alrighty, so it looks like we're going to get a full boat of 10 drivers here. We'll take a look at the chase standings coming into tonight. Randall Coleman above Joshua Moyers by 40 points based off of just how dominant of a performance he had a couple of weeks ago. Last week at Iowa as we go into qualifying. But you got Moyers, he is going to need a couple more cars to really join the server for him to catch up to Randall. He's going to need basically just 20 more cars to join here in the next 2 minutes. Let's ping the whole fuel server. We'll get a couple of drivers in here, but he's going to need a lot to go right. Drew Fast not on the server here this evening. In fact, of these 8 chase drivers, Fast and Blake Warren are the only ones that are not going to make an appearance here this evening, and that's a shame for Drew Fast. Drew a win on the season already for the 74 car, looking for a second, and I guess we'll be seeing him this upcoming Wednesday night.
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot. Tyler and possibly Drew for Sunday night or Wednesday night. You're going to see me there Wednesday. Daytona is a fun track, but whenever we cover the upcoming schedule, we can talk about that more. But yeah, Blake Warren and Drew Fast. Drew has shown a lot of speed this season. Shame he isn't here tonight. And Blake, if he needs something to go his way anywhere effectively.
Absolutely. You go back to the end of that race for the Winn-Dixie 100 at Myrtle Beach on Friday night, like we were talking about. Warren brothers were in position on that final restart to potentially get the job done, but tire wear and ultimately just pucker, a big crash with increased pucker factor was ultimately what did them in for those 2 drivers, and they'll be looking ahead to Daytona. Blake loves Daytona. Both the Warren brothers a sucker for the super speedways. And that's going to be a lot of fun. A lot of Daytona on the upcoming slate as well as Zach Rogers on his 3rd qualifying lap right now. Looks like he's going to be taking the pole position here with a minute to go in queue. But we'll look at the upcoming broadcast schedule here on the NESRN. Like we're talking about, 3rd annual Fuel Clash from the Daytona International Speedway will air this Wednesday night here on August 19th. It's hard to believe we're already in the back end of August, Rich. This month is flying by like the wind. And that's going to be at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Time right here on the NESRN, your home for the Fuel Racing League. And then on that Saturday, we're at the Trenton Fairgrounds Raceway for the penultimate race of the regular season for the Mission Barbecue Cup Series at 2 o'clock Eastern Time. And then next Wednesday, we got race number 1 of the season here for the Fuel Grand National Series at Daytona. Then that Friday, Fuel Sportsman Las Vegas. That's going to be so much fun. Then we got the final race of the regular season for the NBCS at Pensacola on Saturday the 29th. On Sunday the August 30th, we open up segment number 2 for the Fast RPCS at Daytona. We'll go over their schedule here in just a few moments, and then it's hard to believe we're already at September here in just a couple of weeks with the second annual PPG Paint Southern Classic here at the Darlington Raceway for the Fuel Grand National Series, and it's going to be fun. It's always going to be fun here on the NESRN. And Zach Rogers, top of the boards in qualifying with a 20.970, only car in the 22nd bracket. And he's looking to win here tonight with a vengeance. Dunn LaPrade and R.J. Bishop will round out the podium with Tyler Stallhood, John Foreman, and Oscar Ramos Jr. will round out the starting 6 here for this evening. And that is your starting grid here tonight. We're ready to have some fun.
See Zach Rogers doing Zach Rogers things. That's nothing new. 2 tenths clear of Dunn. So if you have a favorite, there you go. But back to the Fuel schedule for this season. Season 10, so happy 10th anniversary of Fuel. 2 Daytona races, so that's going to be exciting. I know the Clash is an exhibition race, and if rumors are correct, you're going to have a special guest in the booth for that race. As I
TBD.
attempt to qualify for the Clash, and then obviously the season opener. Always, every time it's at Daytona and always a banger. And then Darlington, I know it is called the Lady in Black for a reason. It's a tricky track, but there's a lot of fun paint schemes going to be up for that race tonight. I won't spoil what I'm doing, but it's a special livery. That's all you're getting.
Hey, it's
quite dazzling.
Honestly, Darlington is always one of my favorite races, especially I think we had somewhere around 25, 26 cars last year. For the event, that race was so much fun. Of course, Zach Rogers in the only car that wasn't a throwback ended up going to victory lane, and he has announced that he's going to be returning here for the Fuel Grand National Series for Season 10 in the number 54 machine, so he'll be riding with Kyle Busch's old Xfinity Series number. But of course, that's Fuel this past year tonight, as we'll look at the upcoming schedule for segment number 3, beginning at Daytona. Like we said, on August 30th, after we got an exhibition race that will not be broadcasted here on the NESRN, unfortunately. But every race that has an asterisk on it, that's the races that we're going to be shooting to broadcast. We'll try and get again, of course, a big shout out to James Moore and Morecom Productions. You can see them at the top right-hand side of your screen for footing the bill a lot here for the majority of these races in segment number 2, and hopefully we'll get a lot of these races done here in segment 3 as well. But we got Daytona and Lime Rock Park, 2 of my favorite tracks in the world. Got t-shirts for both of them, Rich, so you know that they're right up my alley in terms of tracks to call. They're going to be a lot of fun. Got Gateway, Dover, Las Vegas, and either Charlotte or Mid-Ohio for round number 6. There's a couple of tracks that have not been really figured out. We'll iron out the schedule officially probably at the end of tonight when we interview Randall for the championship interview. We got New Hampshire on the calendar. Talladega will be the final cutoff race before the segment 3 chase. Martinsville, either Milwaukee or Rockingham. My money would be on Rockingham a little bit personally. Mosport or Montreal. Either way, we're going to be going up to Canada. That's going to be a lot of fun. And rounding out with Homestead Miami Speedway on Sunday, November 22nd, late in November, before we'll take a couple of weeks off, probably a month or 2 off before we'll rack them back up and down at Daytona once again. It's hard to believe. We've already got the end of the 2026 season in sight. This year has just been something else with how fast it's been moving. I think it's just a sign of the times that we're all getting older, Rich.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like yesterday that it was the Daytona 500, and now we are in Daytona for the cutoff race for the Cup Series side. We're starting Daytona for Fast and Fuel. Lime Rock, I've only driven it in the 4th game, but it's a fun track. Gateway, another fun track. Dover, well, we've seen how tricky it can be in various leagues that's been put on the NASRN, but it's also a very good track. Las Vegas always puts on a banger no matter where you are. Charlotte, Mid-Ohio, assuming they mean the Roval. I haven't ran the Roval personally, but Mid-Ohio is also a tricky course that requires a lot of technical ability I don't have. New Hampshire, Seaway said about Mid-Ohio, Talladega, I'm a sucker for the super speedways. And who doesn't love Talladega? Something's always happening there. Martinsville,
Absolutely.
Dive Bomb Central, but well, as long as you don't drive like a certain Red Bull driver in 2011, you should be fine. Rockingham or Milwaukee, Rockingham is going to be. I'm going to hope they go to Rockingham. Rockingham's a fun track. It eats your tires, but also it is a fun. It's just a genuinely fun place to drive. It's a team that we're not going to see on the schedule next year. Montreal Canadian Tire, the only experience I have with either of them is the Montreal track on the F1 games. And as I have learned, open wheel cars do not translate to stock cars.
No, they do not.
And then Homestead, I'm assuming we're running with Banked Homestead. Very fun track, very fast track. As long as you manage your stuff, you're going to be fine. Moral of the story, next season's fast schedule looks to be a banger.
It definitely does. This Randall Coleman top of the charts here at Happy Hour with a 20.889. And again, you look at a lot of those tracks. A lot of them have been featured several times here on the NESRN, whether it be on online or offline. You know, tracks like Dover. Rather, we've had a couple of Dover races here online. But overall, we're going to go ahead and send things onto the back straightaway here in just a moment to get this 12th and final race of Segment 3 underway here for tonight. Rich, it's going to be a ton of fun, and we're going to be seeing quite the race here this evening once we go ahead and get our ticker recalibrated. But we're overall going to have fun. They call it the action track for a reason, and tonight's race at Richmond is going to be just an absolute blast here.
As always, Richmond provides a fun race, and we can't wait to see the best of the best put on a good show for us.
Zach Rogers, like we talked about, he's going to be starting from the pole position. And overall, we're going to have about 10 cars on the track as we send things down trackside for the most famous words in motorsports to fire the engines for the Virginia Showdown, race number 12 of segment number 2 for the Fast RPCS.
Drivers, start your engines.
And we are ready to roll, to fire off here in just outside of the nation's capital, where the NTT IndyCar Series will also be racing here in just a couple of weeks' time. But it's going to be Zach Rogers leading the field of the green flag. Dunlop looking for that second win of the season on the outside of row number 1. R.J. Bishop, Tyler Stolhood, John Foreman, and Oscar Ramos Jr. will round out the starting 6 green flag out and away. Let's crown a champion, ladies and gentlemen. Here we go from Richmond.
Foreman drop back to the field later when I wonder if there's some connection issues as the server appears to be working. That might just be me, though. Rogers.
That's not just you. That is just about everybody.
Okay, so server warp is not going to be a factor into this race. Let's add another twist. Rogers going to lead off 1, followed by LeBron, followed by Bishop.
Yeah, that is a lot of warpage going on here for these drivers. Rich, I know it's not just you. These drivers are mashing all over the place. Everybody just about on the outside wall. Corey Stolhood, a great job keeping it off the wall, and it looks like everybody still being affected by some warpage here. I don't think I've ever seen this. Zach Rogers looks to be the only one that's not really being affected. He is, bugging a little bit in and out there, and that's caused everybody to go single file, and everybody's still bugging in and out, but all 10 cars remaining on track, and I think we should... No, everybody's still buzzing a little bit in and out here.
For the NR entry list thing, I'm the only one, along with the server, are the only one to have decent quality. Oh, the thing is sky high for everyone. So, you want some difference between real life racing and sim racing? Here we go.
Absolutely, and I know we're here getting a little bit of trouble on your end with these technical issues on our end. I think that's part of the ping as well, but overall, Rogers continues to lead on the initial hop there, 4 laps in the books. And I think once these guys settle into a run, it should be a little bit better. There's Joshua Moyers in front of Randall Coleman. Here comes James Moore to the inside. Moore trying to get underneath of Tyler Stolhood for a position. That's the battle right now for 5th. Trying to slide back up the racetrack. And I'm a little bit surprised here, Rich, that You know, we didn't see nearly this much ping going into practice, and now here in the actual race, you know, it's a lot of ping for these drivers. I think now that we've got to spread out a little bit, I think now once they once they start on top of one another, and again, just how detailed this track is, now I think we should be good to go in terms of ping. But man, that was an interesting opening 7 laps of the race.
Well, the good news is you no longer sound like a robot. But yeah, it might have to do with the fact that BBMC makes very good, very nice-looking tracks. But the downside of that is PC performance, as we obviously saw. James Moore is going backwards. He's currently under attack from Moyers, followed by, if I'm correct, our new champion, Randall Coleman. Coleman had 40 points on Moyers, and effectively Coleman needed to show up in order to win the title. And very clearly, with him going around the outside of Moore, he has shown up.
Absolutely. I think it'll be official as Corey Stoll is going to hit the wall a little bit off the corner. I believe once we get to the end of that once we get to the end of the stage and he gets any stage points over Joshua Moyers, that should be officially confirmed. Don't want to show the graphics just yet. I believe if he does get any stage points here, which, you know, he is didn't really qualify well. He didn't put down a lap time, so he started towards the back, trying to bide his time here in this opening stage. But I think once we get into that first stage, once we get to the end here, I think we'll officially put up the graphic. But it's a 3-car breakaway back in here for first. Rogers, LaPrade, and Bishop right now on top of one another. Still a little bit of a mini ping there from the 47 of LaPrade, but no harm, no foul, and a 3-car breakaway for these guys.
Stallhood just split the 2 tail containers through. That's for 5th. So Moyers currently holds the last stage point at the moment. Coleman all over him. And in front of the pair of them is the 5 of Oscar Ramos Jr., who is doing a pretty solid job. That's the rest of the moment in 4th. Riding around, riding his own race, trying to keep the 2 tail containers at bay.
Yeah, I haven't seen Oscar Ramos Jr. a lot here this season. I think he's only ran like maybe 1 or 2 contents. We'll check CCIX here in a second. Just get the official stats here on this 5 driver, but it's been a while since we've seen Ramos out on track, as here comes Coleman to the inside of the 68 of Moyers. And right now, that would clinch the championship with that move officially, if he is able to get stage points and Moyers does not get stage points. And again, you look at these stages here for this evening, 45, 45, and 50, the stage points here tonight. Coleman now going to move to the inside of Ramos Jr. for the 4th position. Ramos nearly cutting on the inside and on the banking, on the apron. Goes that Napa 9 car.
Good save, driver. Apron has no grip, and paint also has no grip, and along with, I think, Ramos moving a little bit down on for Coleman's liking. Coleman got a bit sideways, kept it going, still holds 5th at the moment. Coleman probably needs to just wait as we have a spin on the back straight.
Yeah, it was John Foreman, and the caution flag is going to fly. Foreman, it was the same thing we saw with Corey Stolhood a couple of weeks ago at Rockingham, as the yellow flag will fly for the opening time tonight. Foreman did a self-spin on the back straightaway, was trying to get out of the way, but couldn't quite get the car refired. He was right in the middle of the racing groove, and he will be the first retiree from the race, so that will put us down to 9 drivers. John Foreman will knock himself out of the race. And we'll see if this will bring down a brigade of cars, and it will. So 16 laps in the books here. RJ Bishop will stay out for an extra lap here to get a lap led for the 99 car. 16 laps under the green flag, and everybody running pretty solid. But I will say, you know, Randall Coleman did have the fastest lap with about a 21.15, and everybody was running 22s that last lap. I believe probably that last second was just mostly due in part to them slowing down a little bit, getting to the start-finish line. We'll have to see, you know, on another 16-lap run if we again get, in fact, about already a second and a half of a fall off, as Tyler Stallings, he's going to only take 2 tires. That's a bold strategy there out of the Tennessee Torpedo.
It's bold. However, However, I'm going to assume Corey and RJ are pitting. Yes, they are. So this is going to put them in. Actually, no, Corey's staying out. Well, this looks like Friday night.
I was just gonna say.
But yeah, if Tyler can clear Corey, this will, I think, be a decent strategy. I don't think he's going to hold the lead from Zach and Dunn, but I think it's a good call on his end.
Definitely is. Again, you know what? It's the final race of the season. Championship has essentially been decided. It hasn't been officially confirmed yet, as lights are already going to go off on the pace car. So unfortunately, we'll once we get about 5 laps into this run, we'll take a look and see what happened to John Foreman to bring out this caution flag. Again, these caution laps here at Richmond, they go quick.
So, just looking back at it as they line up, looks like Moore clipped the wall, Foreman ran to the back of him, and sent the 70 around. On top of that, Foreman was having frame rate issues and has called it a day.
So that will drop us down to 9 cars here. We got Bishop rounding back out on track here. Here we go. Corey Stolhood and Tyler Stolhood, the two Stolhood brothers, will restart side by side.
Corey got a better initial start. That surprised me a bit.
Oh, little contact.
A bit of not enough room. Corey to the wall. Tyler to the lead. However, that took about 1 corner too long for him.
He's in the wall once again. Very tight. He's going to spin.
And there he goes.
So that G Fuel automobile will be spun around, will point it right back in the right direction, and he will get a couple of laps led for his trouble, but he will fall all the way to the back. And now we're going to have a great opportunity to see 2 tires versus 4.
On top of that, silver pin. Yeah, Tyler would clear the 45 immediately to get some ground over Zach and Oscar. However, that clearly didn't happen. Zach, I think, might be taking it easy, especially with how the ping is reacting. Jen almost lost in the background.
Yep.
Ramos
around. Moore goes into the outside wall, too. And that'll promptly bring caution number 2 right back out here on the speedway. James Moore and Oscar Ramos. Oh, Corey Stolhood driving through there. He's able to get on by.
I saw that happening a mile away. Moore stuck his nose in, and Ramos was kind of there along with the warp and ping.
We'll get a quick gander of what happened here between these 2 drivers. Again, the warping and the pinging off of these restarts has certainly been something else. I don't think we've seen that a lot here. I thought just that on the initial start was mostly on my end of things, but watch that 07, just a little bit of a tap there on the back end of the 5, and that just whipped that 07 Mustang right back out into the outside wall. And not a whole lot of damage on that Ford car, but pretty sizable amount.
Yeah. Moore came from a bit far back, but I honestly think he would have been fine if it wasn't for the server having a freak out.
Yeah, just a little bit of a bumper grab, and then it just gets flung right back into the section around, was it about 10 years ago at this point? We had a drunk fan climb the fence, probably about 15 years ago, closer to this point.
2015, so about 10 years ago.
Oh, my Lord.
Moore, Ramos, and Corey all hit the pit lane. I don't think it's surprising anyone.
We'll go ahead and see what happened here with John Foreman on lap 16 of the race. Little contact between him and Moore once again. Spins that 70 car around, and you can see, he's just trying to figure it back out. You can't go backwards, because if you drive backwards, that'll give you a DQ. And he's just trying to figure it out. There's the 6 and everybody just flying through there. Calls it a night, and the caution flag flies. So we've already seen that. Again, we go back to what we saw at Rockingham 2 weeks ago for the Sportsman Series race, where unfortunately Corey Stolhood, again, a very similar situation. Spun down the back straightaway, right in the middle of the racing groove, and the caution flag wasn't thrown in time, and about half of the field was junked. So fortunately, had the mental fortitude, retire from the race before the leaders got to you, and ultimately
we just took the green flag, and no one, I think both Zach and Tyler both spun the tires. Tyler sideways.
Ooh,
exiting turn
great
2.
save! Even better save there off turn
Wow.
2.
Yeah. Here's 2 tires versus 4 tires. So 4 tires is the entire field. Great save by Tyler, as Zach Rogers will lead that lap, and Coleman ends up the second. Great for his championship hopes.
Everybody flying on top of one another here at the Richmond Raceway. Stolen hard in the wall. Ramos had to jump on the brakes like he was in a bounce house. And fortunately, he's able to avoid bringing out our third caution flag of the night. Look at Dunlapron trying to run the Larson line on the outside lane. And you know what, Rich? I think Kyle Larson's luck is finally going to turn around after this week, because as Corey Stoll is in the outside wall, he finally completed a double last night. Just not in the way that you think, just not in the way that anybody would think of, but you know what? He did it. He completed he finished 6th at Richmond and won the Knoxville Nationals. Maybe that's what it takes to finally knock some of the rust off of that 5 crew, because they're definitely looking for some momentum going into the chase. One of the few winless teams in the garage here, especially for a Hendrick Motorsports team that's really lost a step. You know, they had all of their drivers finish in the top 10 last night, but overall, you know, that's a team that definitely needs a lot of mojo coming out of New Hampshire, going into Daytona, and just trying to fight for a championship to try and get their second one in a row.
Stoll is falling like a rock, but yeah, and I think part of the issue with Hendrick is the fact that Alex Bowman, through no fault of his own, has missed a few races. And even though that is one car, it still affects the entire team, because you're having to get a driver, I think it was Justin Allgaier, if I remember this correctly, into a car which he doesn't drive often. So the rest of the team is trying to help him get up to speed. That's going to draw some resources from the other 3 cars. It's Hendrick Motorsports, though. They'll be back next season, without a doubt, as Tyler Stallhood is fallen from 1st all the way to 7th. That 2-tire, he's on the apron. He is having issues with that 7th car.
Oh, pinballing back up the track.
Wow. Yeah, I think the 2-tire call was a good idea in the short run. However, he is needing to pay for it now. I do think part of the issue is we had another caution, which stacked the entire field back up.
Could be getting another caution soon, as once again the field's starting to ping and pong a little bit here. You got Rogers in the lead, Coleman in 2nd. Got that 68 car in 3rd. You want to see how much these cars are moving back and forth. It's probably going to crash my game, but here we go.
I'm starting to wonder if it's something with the surface itself on the track. I know there are some stores that are over the East Coast. I think that I have no idea where the surface is in the East Coast. But the East Coast has been hit by storms, and I wonder if that might have something to do with it. Who says rain can affect sim racing?
So watch that back end of that 9 car just wiggling and wobbling. That thing is just all over the place. The back end just sashaying around as we are 10 laps to go in stage number 2. Stage number 1, I should say. Don't want to put us quite up there just yet. And it's been a Revolution Motorsports 1, 2, 3 on the board. Randall Coleman getting any stage points here, especially if he finishes ahead of Joshua Moyers in this first stage, he will officially clinch the championship. I know Josh is just trying to do everything in his power to not let that happen. You go back to Tyler Stallhood, he's back out on track. He's actually gotten the outside wall a couple of times. Looks like he backed that Ally Chevrolet in the wall. And he's going to go probably 2 laps down once timing and scoring will reset here.
And he's still on the lead lap. I think he's had a spin in turn 1 going off by all the smoke up there.
Gotcha, I thought he came down the pit lane. He is, yep, on the lead lap. Still 1 pit stop on the board, so Stallhood. Like you said, that strategy call, I think he was hoping for another quickie yellow, looking for a cautions, breed caution situation. Fortunately, he didn't get it, and that's going to cost him dearly.
Still plenty of time. We saw in the Charlotte race to actually start the season, he ran out of fuel and was 2 laps down at one point and come back to winning and came back and won the thing. So anything is possible. And Richmond is a shorter track than Charlotte, which means more contact, which means, in theory, more yellows. So Tyler isn't out of this yet. He's going to need some luck, but welcome to racing. In order to be good, you need to be lucky. In order to be lucky, you need to be good. And Stallhood has a few championships in various online leagues, so he knows how to get it done.
I tell you what, with all the saves he's been a part of here, it's just what we see in the NASRN. I mean, it's not really a fair comparison. You're just comparing a golden horseshoe to the Lucky 13 when comparing Tyler Stallhood's luck to Isabella Robusto's luck in the Archimedard series. Now that's a situation where that's just, good Lord. You want to talk about bad luck right there. That is what that 55 team has been going through. You just not even Robusto. Look at Nitro in general. You know, I can count at least 3 races where all their cars, and they field 5 cars, ladies and gentlemen. For those that don't follow the Arkham and Art series, Nitro fields 5 cars in what's usually around a 25-car field. Iowa, I want to say Talladega as well, and Daytona, they had all 5 of their cars involved in some sort of incident and having damage, and weren't able to get the job done.
I was gonna say, wasn't Jake Finch leading at Daytona before he got turned or something?
Got turned by a teammate. I think he got turned. Was Jake Bowman driving in that race? I'm trying to remember. The only thing I remember was almost blacking out as here comes that 9 car looking for the stage win underneath of Zach Rogers. The only thing I remember was being in the 89 car pits and almost blacking out when that wreck happened, because I was like, oh my Lord, don't get caught up in that, don't get caught up in that. And then we finished 9th and then up being an 8th, so.
Nice. Coleman got loose as we have a caution coming
James
to the
Moore's
stage,
around.
And there's the caution Stallhood needed. Coming to the end of the stage, I believe Zach Rogers has won the stage, and Randall Coleman has finished 2nd ahead of championship rival Joshua Moyers. 4th place would be Denton LeProud, and 5th place would be RJ Bishop. So there is your top 5 of the stage.
And once we come back around, we'll see once these drivers hit the pit lane. I believe Randall, he's just going to stay out here to get this stage win. See if Rogers will goose it at all to get the stage win, but I don't believe so. Was Randall Coleman to win stage number 1 of the evening, and that will officially give him enough points to be declared your Segment 2 champion here for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. So Randall Coleman has officially clinched the title, getting the stage win and getting a handful of points over Joshua Moyers. Not nearly as hectic and climactic as our other championship fight we had a couple of Wednesdays ago for the Grand National Series to round out Season 9, but you want to talk about utter domination, sometimes just being a juggernaut and dominating a situation is a lot more fascinating to watch, Rich, especially with these this fixed setup next-gen cars here in the Fast.
Admittedly, I would love to see a dominated champion compared to some driver giving the championship to a gimmick. NASCAR.
Don't even get me started. I'm still... Every time I think of last year, as Randall Coleman and everybody else will come down the pit lane, every time I think about championship weekend last year, and just even the Cup race, November 3rd, 2025 will go down as probably a top 3 worst day in sports for me, watching the hellhole that was the Cup Series championship race, and then turning on Sunday Night Football, watching the Commanders get absolutely dummied by the Seahawks, and Jaden Daniels suffering a gruesome arm injury, and me sitting in my living room for about 5 minutes just with a 1,000-yard stare like, why am I dedicating my life to covering sports? Why have you forsaken me?
There's a reason why I turned off 2025 from my brain. Looking back at the last caution, James Moore, like I mentioned, too much brake into turn 1 and around he went.
Grab a gander at it here as the 07, like you're talking about, just braked way too much in the back end. Just swinging out like a seesaw. Backed it in right to that Virginia Lottery decal over in between turns 1 and 2. Unfortunately, he was able to drive it away. He is being served a black flag right now.
Things can't go worse for him.
So he is going to serve it, and we shall get things restarted. 92 laps to go once we go back through the gears here, and 3 caution flags already in this race. It has been a race of attrition so far, Rich, and Still got a lot of time to go. We're approaching a third of the way through the Virginia Showdown.
Richmond is a tough track. It is worth noting that everyone did hit the pit lane during the last caution. However, Zach, Ramos, and Corey Stallhood all hit the pit lane one lap for everyone else because everyone else is going for stage points. Top three obviously aren't involved in the championship, so they couldn't care less. And Rogers went into track position as he's going to take it with authority. Entering turn 1, Stallhood almost overcooks it into the 5 car, entering turn 2. But they will be side by side behind Zach Rogers.
Great save out of Corey Stallhood. Is once again going to be tight inside on that Columbia Camaro. Can he get the drive off the corner? He can. Forces Ramos into the wall. They touch and Ramos is in the outside retaining wall. Ramos is not going to like that, and he's going to lose another spot here as Dunlaprod will march his way inside the podium for the Old Dominion native. All this happening right in Zach Rogers' rear view mirror in that 6 machine. Looking back in here, Randall Coleman, the champion, thinking, all right, I've won my championship. I just want to get out of Dodge with a clean race car, folks. And that's exactly what he's trying to do, is this 9 car right in the middle of an absolute hornet's nest back in here.
The good news for Randall, because he's locked the championship, he can be as aggressive as he wants. And Corey Stallhood is all over the back of Zach Rogers. Statements I wouldn't have thought I'd be saying to start tonight. Corey Stallhood comes from a road racing background, similar to Millennium Motorsport my teammate Andrew Estrada as he bounces off the wall. But Stallhood has been learning this oval thing, getting adapted, kind of like how FPG is. He still has a long way to learn because ovals are a bit different from road courses. As soon as I'm giving him praise, he smacks the wall off turn 4. But Stallhood doing a great job in this 45 car. Moyers now all over the back of 47 down the back straight.
Oh, contact and around Ramos and Stallhood once again. That will bring out a caution flag, and those two, for the second time in this stint, will collide. Little Sunday night short track tempers here in the Old Dominion State. So Oscar Ramos not going to be happy about that. That's the second time in the last 10 laps. So Corey Stallhood pinned him in the outside wall, and that time, that Columbia Camaro. Saying no bueno with the amount of damage on that car. My goodness.
Both drivers have claimed it, so both drivers will be taking an end of longest line call. If Ramos, I'm sure if he knows what happened, but if I were him, I wouldn't be happy. It looks like, 45 bounces off the wall, actually. Corey tried to avoid the wall and pulled into the 5.
We'll look back in here off of the 45 in the outside wall, and then Ramos just gets pinballed around.
That's the second time within a 5-lap time span those two got together. If Ramos is going to look at it as we're going green this time by actually.
Quickie yellow. There we go.
Yeah, if I were the 5 car, I wouldn't be too happy at the moment.
Well, Ramos will be restarting for the 9th position. The pace car already back down the pit lane, so here we go. Ramos, he's got a lot of time to make up before we get back through the gearbox. Here we go once again. Rogers this time with the great jump, and here comes Moyers to the inside once more, and Revolution Motorsports once again potting out 4 of the top 5 positions, the other one being held by LaPrade right now. Stallhood and Bishop both on the outside wall.
Rogers likely sees in the mirror, 2nd and 3rd side by side. Same with 4th and 5th being Coleman and Stallhood. Tyler Stallhood, that is. And another thing I should probably point out, Fast has a tire limit. I think it's like 6 sets per race. And a few of these guys have, I think, gone through half their sets already. Something to keep an eye on as Moyer takes 2nd away from LaPrade. Now LaPrade's under pressure from Coleman, the champion.
Well, RJ Bishop has already been down the pit lane 3 times. The only thing, because it says on the GNL monitor on my screen how many times he's come down the pit lane. Doesn't say how many 4-tire pit stops he's made, but knowing RJ, I feel like, he likely put just stickers on it just to be safe. But James Moore and Oscar Ramos, they've come down the pit lane 4 times for either of those drivers, so they've put 4 tires on. in all those stints, that's their tires are definitely going to be screaming by the end of this run, especially if they've only got 2 sets of stickers left. For everybody else, they've only been down the pit lane twice. They put on sticker tires, and they've still got a long way to go in this race. 81 to go as we're on lap 60.
I think the bet RJ's been taking gas and goes, because he has been sliding around as much as Moore and Ramos has been. Coleman shot up to the outside for a split second. I think he tried to get around Moyers in the high line to no avail.
Randall Coleman, champion. Right now looking for both the race win and the championship. He's got Moyers right in front of him, and it's been a really off season for Joshua Moyers. Only 1 win on the year. Obviously no wins in the chase, as all 3 wins in the chase have gone to Randall Coleman right now. But for the defending series champion, as we thought we had a little bit of trouble back in here, yeah, Moyers, he's going to be looking up to this next season, which it's going to be fun. Next season's going to be fun. We talked about the season 10 slate. We'll throw it up on the screen here in just a moment once more. Big diversity of racetracks. We got 2 super speedways. We got a couple of road courses. We're going to have 3 road courses on the card next year.
Moore around the back. Self-spin does a 360. He keeps it going.
Good job for James Moore to stay out of the racing groove and will remain green. But we're going to have 3 road courses. I know the Bulldog of Zach Rogers is going to be ecstatic to see all those road courses on there.
Okay. That as a disappointment for Moyers. I mean, yes, he only has the 1 win. He's currently second. He will be second in points when this season finishes out. He was only won 1 race, but when you have Randall Coleman, who is channeling his inner Alex Palou in the chase, I think second will be. I think he'll be just fine with second place this season.
Well, again, you also go to the races that have been in the chase. You know, the majority of them have been flat tracks, which Randall Coleman has excelled at. You know, again, you go to Indianapolis. You know that was fuel mileage where nobody knew exactly what they were doing, and Randall Coleman, the only one that was on like a relatively normal strategy, ended up getting the victory. You know, Iowa last week, flat track, Randall was so good, and then North Wilkesboro as well. You know, when 3 of the 4 tracks are these short tracks under the lights, you know, there is no wonder why, you know, when that is your best track, statistically your best track here for Randall Coleman, it's not a really big wonder like how and why you're so successful and how or why you've got a dominant lead. Again, you know, you go back to the final race of segment 1 at Watkins Glen. You know, it's a road course, it's Watkins Glen, it's a total crapshoot. We saw the RNG failure happen with Randall Coleman that gave Goose the championship. But with all these flat short tracks here, you know,
Coleman just took second from Moyers. Sorry to interrupt, but as soon as you're talking about his random engine failure, he just takes second from Moyers. So Coleman on the charge, and okay, server flipped out from him for a second.
Yeah, but like I was talking about, you look at the final 4 races here for segment 3. You know, we got Martinsville. You know, that's a short track, so it's going to be right in Randall Coleman's wheelhouse. You got Milwaukee and Rockingham. Those are 2 very interesting tracks, I think, because if it's Milwaukee, that's going to be more suited towards Randall. For Rockingham, you know, I don't obviously, you know, I would give that to Zach Rogers or Dunlop Prod because that is, you know, right in their wheelhouse. We've seen both those drivers that have so much success there in the past. You know, most Sport of Montreal, you know, I would give that in favor of Josh Moyers. Of course, you know, Zach Rogers. If you know, we haven't really talked about Zach Rogers. He's going to be fighting for this championship here in segment 3. You know,
I would give the road courses to Rogers.
As we have reached the halfway point here with Richmond 70 down, 70 to go. Back to you, Rich.
But yeah, I would give the road courses to Rogers. Nothing against Moyers. Moyers grounded the road courses on his in his own right. However, I think Rogers has been around longer and has that experience. The reason I point this out, there was a Mavic race, I think last year at Watkins Glen, where he showed up, and for reference, Jack Merkel, and Joshua Mercurio were in that race fighting for the points lead at the time, and Rogers won by like 50 seconds. weeks. So I think Rogers just has that ability on the road courses.
He definitely does.
Nothing against Moyers. As we've seen, Moyers is a great road racer. Rogers, I think, those just fast. As we have a spin in turn 1, there's a lot of smoke in 1. I think it might have to do something with more.
It may have been Corey Stallhood. He's a little bit off the pace, and he's got some damage to the back end of that G Fuel 45.
Turn 1 has not been kind to the Stallhood clan tonight.
No, it has not. Already, and a lot of drivers have had a really tough time getting into turn number 1. And again, you know, that's a very high-speed corner. You're taking all the energy. You're taking, you know, essentially from the middle of 3 and 4. You know, you're flat out through the tri-oval, and then all of a sudden you got to tap the brakes really aggressively going through the corner. Seen a lot of drivers with this loose setup here tonight have some issues, but overall the top 4 have remained consistently on top of one another. And how about RJ Bishop in this top 5, caboosing it right now? Little bit off of the pace in terms of what these top 4 guys, this top quartet is setting right now, but he's waiting in the wings. Very competitive driver in his own right, and he's only a second back that last time by. I believe he might be a little bit further back this next time by once time and scoring resets. Yeah, he's 2 seconds behind, so he's fallen a little bit back.
He's been a bit loose exiting 2 and 4. That being said, he is running his own race. No one really in front of him, no one really behind him, and that's kind of a race car's dream. Yeah, you want to be fighting someone, but if you have no one around you, it's like practice. When most time during practice sessions, there's no one around you. And I think this is perfect for him. No one around him, he can focus on himself. Maybe try to run down Dunn in the leaders, because I take a guess that Rogers might be saving fuel or tires. But yeah, Bishop in his own zip code, and that's not the worst place to be.
Rogers, Coleman, Moyers, LaPrade, the top 4. It's quartet out in front with RJ Bishop rounding out the top 5. Got Oscar Ramos Jr. in 6th. Tyler Stallhood runs in 7th. 8th is Corey Stallhood. 9th, James Moore. And they're the only 9 cars out on track. John Foreman retired earlier on in the race, and he will finish as the last car in this 10-car card. James Moore as a lap-down car. This is going to be a little bit tight here with the leaders catching up to him.
Yeah, Moore, in theory, can hold whoever line he wants because he is... If he catches a caution, he'll be back in it. However, he is second off the leader's pace, so this is going to be interesting. Let's see how Rogers manages this.
Rogers right now, right underneath the 07. I'm trying to think of when these guys last came down the pit lane. We're 9 laps away from stage number 2 end. So yes, these guys came down right on lap 45. So they're about here. Probably about 25 laps away from coming right back down the pit lane, and you and I mentioned it, Rich. Pit lane is very, very scary to get down. It's nearly a moment there between the 6th and the 9.
What's probably going to happen, and watch me be wrong about this because we all know how my crew chief was at Indy. They're probably going to run it to the end of the stage or to lap 60, hit, and then get the rest of the way. If we get into the caution, then I think everyone will come down the pit lane again because tires are new tires are a drug. Corey Stallhood gets out of the way of the top 2 as Moore, I'm pretty sure unintentionally cost LaPrade and Moyers at the time. Nothing against Moyers. I think just him just existing on the track just cost the 3rd and 4th place cars time.
Ultimately, and yeah, we might see. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. Well, then again, yeah, I mean, you're not really, because again, you look at the stage points. You know, stage points are kind of just like a moot point right now because everybody in the chase is pretty much just locked into their position. Randall Coleman's has the championship. Moyers is pretty much locked up 2nd. Yeah, Dunn LaPrade, he's probably going to get 4th in the standings over Tyler Stallhood. I don't think he's going to catch up to Drew fast at all.
At this rate, Dunn is focused on getting Stallhood. So the only car that really stage points matter for is LaPrade. Everyone else, I think, is focusing on the end goal, which is lap 140.
Well, Dunn is ahead. Dunn is ahead of Tyler by 2 points right now. coming into tonight, that doesn't include stage points. I'm trying to remember where LaPrade and Stallhood finished in terms of the stages, but the way they run right now, you know, Stallhood down in 7th, LaPrade just got around Moyers for 3rd. You know, I would say, yeah, LaPrade is just trying to beat out Tyler here for the 4th spot in the chase. But
Now,
overall, I think everybody's just
Ron-
trying to get to the win, you know, trying to
Yeah.
flip the stage here, sacrificing stage points for an earlier pit stop. You know, I think that's a little bit arbitrary. And again, I would try and stay out for as long as you want. Tire wear hasn't been as crucial as we've seen at some other tracks like Rockingham or Myrtle Beach, but, you know, I would rather, you know, go the distance and have fresher rubber
Well-
than everybody else personally.
For us, we shouldn't be crew chiefs because Oscar Ramos Jr. has just hit the pit lane. So, so much for going to the end of the stage. And Ramos, yeah, he can make it on fuel. If so, pit window's open.
So everybody's mathematically able to make it to the end. 50 laps to go this next time by as Zach
Tyler's gonna be
Rogers is going to come off turns 3 and 4. Randall Coleman's going to be 1 position short of sweeping the stages here tonight, but the Bulldog will sweep. Rather, it'll just win stage number 2 here at the Richmond Raceway for the Virginia Showdown. 90 laps in the books. 50 laps remain in segment number 2 of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. Joshua Moyers all the way back there in 4th. Not able to catch up to Randall Coleman no matter what happens here tonight in Randall. Now it's just looking for the clean sweep here in the chase.
All right. Oscar is on track with, I believe, fresh tires. So I think everyone is going to keep an eye on him to see what his lap times are and if it's worth hitting now or waiting later.
Well, he's going to slide the tires through 3 and 4, trying to get a little bit of heat in them on his out lap. We'll see what timing and scoring says.
21.5 this time by. However, he was stuck behind RJ Bishop. Bishop lets him go. Not for position.
So I'd say probably, because he ran at 21.5, so I'd say probably this next time is probably going to be in the 21.3 bracket.
21.423. His best lap's a 21.1. Just keep that in mind. For reference, leader is currently actually Dunn's running at 21.6. The race leaders are running at 21.628. So he is about 2 to 3 times quicker than the leaders at this time. So, pit strategy, tire strategy might not be as big as a factor. However, you gotta remember Ramos was not running with the top 5, at least on pure pace earlier.
Right. And I don't know, again, I would probably just try and push it all the way to the end. Again, most of these guys came down 47, 45, 46. Just push it to 60.
Alright, Dunn is pitting this lap, so here will be probably a better judge of what the leaders got. Ramos ran 21.3, so I think that's a pretty good comparative pace because Randall's best lap was a 21.1. Let's see, Dunn's in the pit lane.
We'll see if anybody else will hit the pit lane this next time by. Rogers will stay out. Coleman will also stay out for the time being. They will stay out an extra handful of laps.
Dunn in his pit stop, in his pit box perfectly. And he is taking 4. I don't think that's a surprise to anyone.
Probably not, and he is going to, I think the biggest thing he is hoping for is the caution flag does not come out, because that is essentially going to tank his race. Because he's going to come off the pit lane, scored 2 laps down.
That's,
He'll just remain the 1, I think, and once this all cycles back around, he should be good to go.
Okay, Coleman's entering the pits now.
So Randall Coleman will come down right at lap number 99. And once again, that 6 car is going to stay out.
I wonder if he's trying to cover, sorry to cut you off, I wonder if Randall's trying to cover off Dunn.
It's the only thing I can think of is Coleman in the pit lane. And a little bit slow there on the right side, getting the jack up. It looks like he's got Alan Gustafson as his crew chief and crew. He's going to take right side tires.
We have a caution.
And the yellow flag is out.
Corey Stallhood, I think, has wrecked off one. He is slow on the apron. Well, so much for strategy.
And that is going to really hurt a lot of drivers.
Randall got put a lap down, so we might see a few cars take the wave around, but still, this is huge if you're Rogers, Moyers, Bishop, or Stallhood. And Stallhood was actually on the verge of going a lap down, so this is a gift to the Tennessee Torpedo.
It absolutely is, as Zach Rogers will lead, and that is a gut punch there for Oscar Ramos Jr., who was 2 laps down thanks to pitting super early.
I know he was trying to go for it, and I applaud him for it, but Stallhood just stayed out. But
I think he's going to try and get 1 lap fresher tires than everybody else. That would be my prerogative there. But Bishop, Rogers, and Moyers will all hit the pit lane for what will likely be the final time here in segment number 12. Rogers is in his pit stall, and we'll see him get those fresh Goodyear Eagles on that car all the way around that Chevrolet Camaro.
And looking at the replay before you guys see it, Corey tried to do the classic road course thing of getting a better entry, clipped the wall, and that sent him around.
You'll see it on your screen. Trying to go for the Hail Melon there and just loop the car around as he had lead lap cars coming right towards him. Back down the racetrack right as Zach Rogers was flying through, and that's ultimately what triggered the caution flag. And this does change things a lot because I think we are. So Randall Coleman and Dunn LaPrade are going to get back on the lead lap. They're going to take the wave around. And I think the only one that's going to remain 2 laps down will be Corey Stallhood.
Ramos, I think, might be 2 laps down as well because he just hit the pit lane.
Absolutely. So Ramos will remain 2 laps down as he will take his final set of Goodyear Eagles.
Ramos and Corey being on the same lap, things are going to be interesting.
It definitely will. We'll get the 1 to go signal this next time around. With 35 to go is when we'll likely get the restart of either 35 or 34, depending on when the lights will go out on the Toyota Camry pace car.
So a few things to note from listening into other people's comms. Stallhood stayed out to try to lead a lap. However, because he was so deep in the field, Rogers actually beat him to the line when he hit the pit lane. So,
well, that didn't work.
No. I can't blame him for trying, because no one really thinks about that when you are, you know, trying to lead a lap. But that's kind of a funny blunder. Car 07, James Moore was the free pass car, or as I've been made aware of, now we're calling it the relief lap because I think National Jet Relief sponsors it. So James Moore is your relief lap recipient, and then Coleman and LaPrade both got the wave around.
Well, here on the NESRN, it'll continue to be the Aaron's lucky dog as Ramos will come down the pit lane along with the pace cars. That's a little bit interesting there as the green flag back out and away. 35 to go here at the Richmond Raceway. You know me, Rich. I'm a sucker for the way things used to be. I'm the one that's still going to call it the Bud Shootout Gatorade Twin 125s, and a great maneuver there as Joshua Moyers going the outside way around that 6 car. Way up the racetrack goes Coleman. He's able to grab it.
Moyers is going to lead that lap. Last time by and this time by, Ramos has pulled it off the circuit, calling it a day. Top 3 is Ramos, Rogers, and Travis Stallhood. Behind them, they caught, whoa, they got loose, but
that was a moment.
It was Coleman.
Stallhood sliding the back end tires like he was at Knoxville last night, and he will remain in the 3rd position. Moyers trying to run away from his teammate, and once again, Revolution Motorsports, 1, 2, 3, 4. Joshua Moyers, Zach Rogers, Tyler Stallhood, who now goes in the outside wall. And now they'll go 1, 2, 3, 5, maybe 6. As Stallhood trying to hold off James Moore.
Yeah, Bishop followed him into the wall, but was able to. Actually, I have no idea how he managed to get past the 7. Not was that much time. And John LaFraud, I don't know what happened to him, but he is not. He is fading a bit.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what he could have done on that most recent pit stop there. Again, he did pit the earliest of any of the top 5 cars. So that's the only thing I can really think of. Is just the long run speed is really going to bite him in the rear end there, as he doesn't have nearly the rubber as everybody else does.
Top 3, Myers, Rogers, and Coleman. Nothing has changed, but it's a race. They're going to get racy. I've seen Coleman peeking his nose a bit on Rogers, trying to get Rogers to look into his mirror. Trying to force the mistake out of the Bulldog. However, he has like 200-something Cup Physics wins and 300 wins overall in NR. Good luck trying to make him flinch.
Hey, you got a couple of the top dogs in Revolution Motorsports again fighting here. You never know what's going to happen with under 30 laps to go at Richmond. And that's usually the witching hour here at Strawberry Hill. Under that 30 lap to go mark, and we have seen so many classic moments transpire here at Richmond when these races have gone under 30 to go, and heck, even under 10 to go. You know, again, you look back at 2008, Dale Earnhardt Jr. and Kyle Busch tangling together. You look back late back in 2013. I don't think anybody is going to try and pull a spin gate here tonight. I'm not sure if anybody's arm is itchy. Rich, is your arm itchy? You should, if it is, you should scratch it.
I'm good. I'll pass.
Both in the outside wall. Here comes Rogers. I think Josh's arm got a little itchy there.
Laps of concentration, all it takes. And here comes Rogers. He just has Speed Coleman lurking in the wings. Rogers gonna clear the 68, and here comes Coleman.
Slides up in front of one Camaro just to let the other one have the inside lane, and now Rogers trying to direct 2 lanes of traffic. Trying to block 2 lanes at once. Got to be wide here. You got to be wide at a multi-cruise short track, and here comes Coleman in that second position. Will take it away from Moyers. He might have bit off a little bit more than he could chew. Thought he was going to swing up at the outside wall off 4, but he was able to hold on to it, and he will take that second position away.
So here's the true question. Early on in this race, I mentioned that Zach might have been saving his stuff with Coleman behind him. Were any of them showing their true pace early on? I.e., does Coleman have more in the tank, or does Rogers have more in the tank, or do both of them have more in the tank, and we don't know. Rogers looks a bit more confident than a bit more punchy than he was earlier on, pulling away a little bit, at least on corner entry. Corner exit, Coleman looks like he has the advantage, and caution's out. That might be why he was quicker on corner exit.
James Moore around for the 3rd time tonight, if memory serves me right, and the 6th caution flag will fly with under 25 laps to go. All these drivers do have a couple more. Ooh, that was a little close there on the back straightaway between the 6 and the 9.
I think we just caught the pace car at the wrong time.
Don't want to hit the pace car. You're not going to
in this game. Let's
So
see,
here we are
everyone
on
but
pit lane.
Corey pits, but I think Corey's a lap down and maybe going for the way around. Or out of tire, or he doesn't have 8 more tires.
Stallhood currently 2 laps down. He will be the recipient of the free pass as we are headed down on pit lane. Rich, I believe this very well could be the money stop here for these drivers. With only 22 laps to go, we'll get this race restarted probably with 20 to go.
Absolutely. I want to see if anyone takes 2 tires. That will be interesting.
Saw Randall Coleman take 2 tires earlier on.
Moore's exiting the pit lane, but he is going to be a lap down. I think Stallhood just took 2.
Tyler Stallhood, another 2-tire stop there for the Tennessee Torpedo, and he'll beat the Bulldog out of the pit lane. Lights remain on the pace car, so we'll go ahead and grab a gander at what happened here with James Moore, who has had a little bit of a rough evening in that 07 machine.
Moore had a bit of a wiggle in turn 1, tried to correct it, and wasn't really much of an overcorrect, but Richmond is a very slick track.
And loops the car around. Once again, the leaders on their way towards him, and Another single car spin puts us under caution number 6 of the night here at Richmond. And this is going to get interesting with the strategy. Already seen the strategy transpire once here tonight, and I believe we are going to get this race restarted with 19 to go.
I think they're going to go green next time by because they Moore was the first car out of the pit lane, but he is supposed to be at the rear of the field, so they're trying to sort that out. Corey Stallhood, like we mentioned, got his lap back. He is 1 lap down. He will need another yellow, which is possible. Aggressive driving plus Tyler having worn right side tires. Plus it being the final 20 laps, you're going to see some aggressive driving. So all that is possible.
Anything is possible here at the Richmond Raceway at the action track. In case you're just tuning in, first and foremost, welcome into tonight's broadcast of the Virginia Showdown here at the Richmond Raceway, the 12th and final race of segment number 2 of the 2026 season of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. Here on the North American Sim Racing Network, my name is Trey Wright, joined alongside by Rich Roy, and 19 laps will remain here at the Richmond Raceway. When we go back through the gearbox here, Tyler Stallhood, thanks to a 2-tire pit stop, is your leader. Zach Rogers, 98 laps led on the evening for the problematic Insurance 6 Chevrolet Camaro. Randall Coleman has officially locked up the championship coming into tonight. He is in 3rd, looking for his 4th and final win, looking for a clean sweep of the chase. Joshua Moyers rounds out the 4 cars in a row for Revolution Motorsports, and they're going to go 3 wide here off of the jump with Moyers trying to make that outside lane work as the green flag back out and away, and this is going to get interesting, and around goes Stallhood. Into the inside wall goes the Ally 7.
No caution.
Caution flag will come out.
Well, I appreciate the bold strategy call, but doesn't pay out.
It does not play out, Cotton. We saw that happen live. We were trying to get back to him, and unfortunately, we changed camera angles. We saw the pace car for a brief moment. Got it back over to Tyler. Unfortunately, we are indeed the Fox Sports of NR2003 online content. Unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. Unfortunately, we will get a replay. You know, unlike some Fox properties, such as some of their ARCA races, we actually get a replay of what happened. And this was incredible right off the jump. 3 wide between the 7, the 6, and the 68. And ultimately, nothing you can do if you're Tyler.
Yes, Stallhood isn't the greatest of launches, but neither does Rogers. Moyers peeks out. They get back to the foul by the time they get to turn 1 and 2. But in turn 2, you can see Stallhood's tail is starting to peek out just a little bit. And his fresher right side tires just carried him around. Think about it as this is probably a bad analogy, but you have 2 engines in an airplane. If you shut down one engine, the engine that's still running is going to generate more thrust, and it's going to flip the plane over. Think about that with tires as we are lined up to go green with about 16 to go.
So we'll do it once again, 11 laps away from the point of no return. And all 8 cars still on the lead lap here tonight with Corey Stallhood. There's a free pass a couple of cautions ago. Green flag right back out of the way here at Richmond. Here we go. Already looking for the side draft there was Zach Rogers. Right on the quarter panel, that's 68 of Moyers.
Moyers clears the pair of them out of 2. Rogers will move to the inside. That's going to pay off. Moyers goes up the track. Rogers underneath of him.
He hit the intimidate button as Rogers right on the inside of his teammate right there, side by side for the race lead, and all this happening right in front of this 9 car. We go on board with the champion of Randall Coleman.
Top 2 still side by side. Bishop was in the background, saved it. The battle for the lip. Oh, Dunn's around the back. Dunlap has spun. I don't know if anyone else is involved. Caution is out.
What do we say about the back 35 this race being the witching hour, Rich?
Yeah, fair enough.
8th caution flag of the night here at Richmond. And this time it's for the hometown Old Dominion native of Dunlap. He will go around for the first time tonight And I don't believe we'll get any takers. I think, you know, Tyler Stoll, he's got a couple of sets of stickers left. Same thing with the 47 of LaPrade.
LaPrade is definitely going to have to pit. I wouldn't be surprised if Tyler pits because he kind of sent the 47. Bishop also might have gotten some damage. He tagged the outside wall. Yeah, LaPrade and Stallwood in. And they are lined up to go.
Well, you see what happened on your screen, and we'll get one more look here at what happened to bring out caution number 8 of the night. Just a little too heavy of a send there on those fresh tires for the 7.
Thinking about probably shouldn't be openly criticizing my boss for the fuel officiating stuff, but yeah, still a bit late on the brakes. Taps the prod and around the 47 goes. We are going green this time by Rogers on the inside, leading the Moyers leads Rogers. Moyers was the outside, and here we go.
We'll do it again. Oh, you know what? I thought LaPrade and Stallhood were going to pull a Kyle Busch there and jump the whole field.
They got Corey, but Rogers is going to take the lead coming out of turn number 2. Yeah, Moyers keeps his nose in it, coming into 3.
And these guys have had a gentleman's agreement of fighting nice and clean all night long, but I guarantee you, once we reach that final lap of the race, we saw it at Atlanta, contact between the 6 and the 9. That was not nice there between Rogers and Randall Coleman.
That was a bit late, but both parties keep it straight, and Moyers actually might get the beneficiary. He's going to try to go around the outside of the 6. 9 of Coleman chases up the track a little bit, and RJ Bishop waiting in the wings. Anything happens to the top 3, he's in the perfect spot, but Moyers and Rogers side by side in 1 and 2.
I think the gloves are definitely going to be shedded off here in the next couple of laps. Rich, we got 9.5 laps to go here in segment number 2. Moyers still trying to tread water on the outside lane as Rogers, who was dominated tonight, 105 laps led at the stripe. Starting to scoot away a little bit. And how about RJ Bishop back in here? We talked about him, you know, lollygagging at the tail end of the top 5. Here he is, the tail end of the top 4. Don't count out LaPrade just yet. We get another caution, which Tyler Stallhood keen on trying to torpedo his way in the back end of the 99 as he's in the outside wall. Could get another yellow flag to set up a late race restart here.
Stallhood's car looks tight. You know, Rogers complaining his car was this in practice. Stallhood's having the opposite issue. That car, he doesn't look comfortable in it. Coleman also looks a bit tight. He's trying to go around the outside of the 6 car. Entering turn 3, I've noticed Coleman has been shooting up a lane and a half higher than everyone else around him. I know we call it the Larson line. He's trying to run the SVG line, the truck race and cup race for anything to go off of.
Hey, it helped him a lot. It helped him win the pull for the truck race.
And Moyers has fallen into the clutches of RJ Bishop. Moyers, same issue Rogers was. Rogers hit the wall. Coleman might have his opportunity.
Here comes Randall Coleman to the inside. 6 laps to go here at the Richmond Raceway. Looking for a clean sweep of the chase here is that Napa 9 car, and he's got that problematic insurance 6 car on his outside lane. Rogers late braking on the outside, still trying to run the high lane. Battle for 3rd back in here. Rogers once again taps the outside wall. That'll do it. 5 laps to go here in the Virginia Showdown, and it's truly a Virginia Showdown between the 6 and the 9. Randall Coleman out front by about a car length and a half.
Rogers does not look comfortable on the time lane. He needs to get back to below. He needs to get underneath Coleman ASAP. Rogers' car seems to prefer the inside line, and I think him going on the outside line, as we saw, did not help. That's a big centering 1.
It's been a problematic season for Zach Rogers. He's tight once again, hit the outside wall once more. He, like you said, Rich, he is just fighting a very tight race car. And we could be getting a battle for 2nd here. As here comes Don LaPrade.
Bishop in the wall, LaPrade coming after him. Morris spun into 2, no caution, we keep it going.
Rogers trying to fight back. I really think Rogers might be in danger of losing 2nd here to Don LaPrade, but here he goes. You know, he might be battling for this race lead again. You don't know.
Anything is possible. I think Rogers may have pushed to use a bit of his stuff trying to get away from the 9 earlier. But anything is possible. 2 to go. And he might have to start playing defense because LaPrade's looking rather large in his mirrors.
Oh, he's right on the back end of that 9 car. He knows. Coleman up the racetrack. Here comes Rogers. White flag in the air. One more time around the Richmond Raceway. Final lap in segment number 2. And Rogers with a big send on the inside of 1.
Coleman shot the racetrack. I think he expected contact. Coleman's in the wall. Rogers might get him.
Rogers has the inside lane through turns 3 and 4 for the final time. Rogers looking for the last lap pass. Coleman, the champion, on the outside lane. It's going to be a drag race at the start-finish line. And Zach Rogers win and spin.
Wow.
It doesn't get any better than that. Zach Rogers, as Corey Stolhood on his side at the end, is going to win a wild one here at Richmond. Wow.
That was a finish.
And we thought Zach Rogers was going to potentially fall back to 3rd. A last lap pass for the ages by 5/100ths of a second over Randall Coleman. And Dunlop in the picture as well. All 3 cars were sliding there across the start-finish line. What a finish.
I saw Rogers start sliding up the racetrack, and I thought Nell's going to pull across him. Wow.
Have you ever?
No, I've never.
We got to see that again, ladies and gentlemen, because holy, and you know what? That reminded me so much of the Elko finish in the ARCA series a couple of years ago. We got to watch this whole last lap in its entirety. Because I think Randall just, I thought he tapped the outside wall there off turn 2 or off turn 4. Rogers with a big send. And I ultimately think if Randall doesn't hit the wall off turn 2 this time around, he's good to go. Rogers has his area, shoves it in deep, goes a little bit up the racetrack, just drives off for the corner. That's good hard racing.
Yeah, he's a tad bit loose, corrects it, and I think Randall is also getting loose. Both guys have nowhere to go. Dunn has nowhere to go, but straight to the back of the pair of them. What a finish.
Richmond never disappoints, and a last lap pass between the 2 dominant drivers of the night, with Zach Rogers utilizing the inside lane, gassing it up, just a drag race to the line, and the win and spin here at the Richmond Raceway, and we'll get confirmation. In my mind, Susan, that is just a racing incident. Here's Corey Stolhood pulling a Casey Kane, sliding on the wall, still on his side, and finally gets on all 4 wheels. That's how you do it.
I think it's a racing deal. I guess you could make the argument that Randall kind of doored Randall. I mean, let's have another look here. As I fast forward too far, or rewind it too far. Coming out of 4, Randall's sliding up the racetrack, Zach's sliding up the racetrack. It's borderline. I think it's a racing deal. No harm, no foul.
I mean, ultimately, in the grand scheme of things, the only thing that was really lost was the race, because Randall still won the championship. There weren't any championship implications there. Dunn got 3rd. RJ and Josh rounded out the top 5. But wow. We've had some great finishes this year, Rich, on the NESRN. From the absolute insanity of that Atlanta race we had earlier on in the season, to, I'm trying to think, the Talladega races, all the Grand National finishes we had back in Season 9. Indy was incredible. You want to see amazing finishes here, you come to the NESRN, you come on Sunday nights, and that was no different. Your final thoughts before we get into these post-race interviews, because, wow, I got chills after that.
I got nothing. I don't think anything I can say will top that. That was a hell of a finish.
It definitely was, and we're going to talk with all 3 of those drivers here in just a few moments. But before we get into the post-race interviews, we'll go over the official standing and the unofficial standings. We'll get them officialized here in a few moments to see if there are any post-race penalties. But right now, Zach Rogers, the winner. Randall Coleman finishes second, and that will clinch him the championship. Dunlapron will finish in third. We'll hear from all three of those drivers here post-race. RJ Bishop, Joshua Moyers rounded out the top 5. Tyler Stallhood, Corey Stallhood were 6th and 7th. James Moore rounded out the 8 cars remaining on track. Oscar Ramos Jr. was 9th, and rounding out the 10-car grid was John Foreman. But we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of drivers to talk to here in a few moments. We'll hear from Dunlapron, Zach Rogers, and the champion of Randall Coleman here in just a few moments as we set up our post-race interviews after a wild one here at the Richmond Raceway for the Virginia Showdown. Truly was a showdown right there at the end, folks. Don't go anywhere. Back here live at the Richmond Raceway on the North American Sim Racing Network's post-race coverage here. Live after the Virginia Showdown. We certainly had a showdown at the end, ladies and gentlemen. Trey Wright and Rich Roy on the call, bringing you into the post-race show for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series Segment 2's finale. Zach Rogers, your winner in dramatic fashion. Randall Coleman, your champion. In slightly less dramatic fashion, but Rich, that was certainly a finish for the ages. We'll go through it here one more time in just a moment, then we'll pull things into our post-race interviews, but man, that was certainly something here under the lights of Strawberry Hill.
I think it's one, like the closest and/or best finish we've had in the NAS in a while, and that is saying a lot considering how many amazing finishes we've had here. Friday night we had almost a photo finish at Myrtle Beach, and then of course the GNS races are always close, but this is a well, I don't think we can get closer to that. We had a car side was across the line. We had another car almost inside one. Good luck topping that for any promo material.
Hey, you know what? We gotta do a sizzle reel at the end here at 2026, especially with some of the stuff that we've covered. And again, I'm so glad that we've gotten a new PC for this year. Just the stuff that we've been able to cover here in 60 FPS as well. It's been a lot of fun. But that was a fun race, and we're going to talk with our 3 drivers here in just one moment time. We'll start off here with our 3rd place driver. We get our ticker out of the way. We'll bring him into the booth.
User was moved to your channel.
Driver the number 47, Lazarus Chevrolet Camaro. Mr. Dunlap, you got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth?
Yes, I do.
Well, that was certainly an end to the race, and that was certainly a 12th and final race of the season. You know, coming into this race, Richmond drives a little bit similarly to Iowa. You know, you got multiple grooves. You've got a very loose handling setup, and overall, you know, coming out of practice and then into the race, you know, what were expectations tonight, knowing that a lot of drivers were just going to be going all out for the win, with that being the only thing really on the line.
Well, I felt like that I did not have a race waiting pace per se, but I felt like that I was even with Randall and Zach there and Joshua all night long. I think it was just a matter of who can. I mean, it's kind of. I mean, we didn't really have a whole lot of tie wear. I mean, we did, but it wasn't like even if you push it really hard, like the tie wear. Like, it wasn't that much of a big difference to make any sort of, you know, make any, man, I lost my train of thought. That's what happens when you play GeoGuessr while doing the middle of the interview. But, other than that, I mean, it was, I think it was just a matter of just who can be able to just stay out in front, I think, the most, just because, I mean, with the lack of time, well, it wasn't the lack of time, I mean, there was, but I think with that in mind, it was more so like, you know, who could stay out in front. I think track position was kind of a key tonight, but if you're like me or Randall or Joshua or Zach, I think you were still able to mix it up, but I think, like I said, you know, we were all just about even tonight, so, but I still did not really think that I had a race-winning pace. I mean, if I have found something that Zach and Renault have and Joshua have been able to find, I think maybe a little bit of that 10th, I think that I was missing in practice and all that. I think I probably would have figured out the track better and been able to mix it up, but I was just trying something different all night long. Even in that, I think it was that 45 laps to go, I decided to pit to try to stay out in front, at least leapfrog, because, you know, track position was everything, especially with, you know, kind of the lack of tire wear. And when that caution came out, that threw a monkey wrench into things. But luckily I was able to get back on the lead lap and still able to salvage what I could salvage, a 3rd place finish. You know, not a win for sure, but still a fairly good result.
A solid result, all things considered, especially given the chaos of that final lap. You know, just walk us through, because you were really gaining on the top 2, you know, on that final run of the race. You know, you definitely were more suited for a long run car there towards the end, and then coming out of the final corner, you see them both up in the wall. You know, just walk us through what was just going through your head, like, oh my lord, am I going to be able to get this race win there at the final couple moments?
If there was one more extra lap and both of them put each other in the wall like they did at the end there, I think I probably would have been able to win it. But um, I I had about slightly fresher tires, which probably did not make too much of a difference. I was I was trying to do a little bit of a different technique at the end, and that really seemed to help me out a lot because I was able to tiptoe through the field towards the end, like it was almost kind of nothing. So I was able to figure something out, and then I was catching up to both Zach and Randall, like you said, and I did not. I think I don't know if I would have been able to get around both of them without contact. Just because I mean, both of them were just racing each other hard, and I think it would have been it would have been a tremendous task to get around both of them because both of them are really tough to beat. So I expected a very fierce challenge, and they both did just that. So that was reassuring to watch. And I mean, I for a second I thought I might have had a chance at the end there, going for the win. I mean, I think if I I trusted both of them to not wreck each other until we get right up to the checkered flag, and at least at least we all wrecked them coming right to the start finish line, going for the checkered flag. Then any point in that final lap. So that was
Hmm.
at least all three of us were able to stay on our toes and be able to have a 1, 2, 3 finish like that. I hope that was fun for everyone watching at home. I hope that was really fun. And screw off, Georgia. And I got it wrong on GeoGuessr. But anyways, still a good result nonetheless.
Definitely was, and a solid recovery there after spinning out late in the race, but a solid P3 at your home track. And I know Rich and I were just jumping up and down here in the booth at that final lap. And Rich, I'll turn things over to you here and see if you've got anything for our third place finisher here tonight.
First off, congratulations on third tonight. I don't know what your plans are to run next season full time or not, but if you do plan on running the schedule, what do you think you need to do in order to clinch a championship here?
Uh, don't miss a race in the chase. That's pretty much the big thing that really uh that got me. I mean, I missed North Wilkesboro because funnily enough, I went to North Wilkesboro and rather be at that track, at the race in real life and watch it. I mean, it was I had a really fun time. Yeah, that's what really did me there was missing that North Wilkesboro race, but I had fun, so I can't say that I complained about it too much. I think I'm fine, but yeah, missing the chase, what missing the first chase race, like I said, really did me. And it was I mean, I would have had to rely on like everybody in front of me having monumental downfall for the rest of the chase if I wanted to have any shot, which lol, Lamau, even though it's not gonna happen. Um, but still a very good couple of chase races nonetheless, despite missing the lone chase race at North Wilkesboro. Um, yeah, I mean, I feel like that I got a lot to look forward to going into next season. I do plan on running full time. That hasn't changed after yet, and hopefully I can get the championship. But I know that I mean, when you have like guys like Randall, Zach, Joshua, uh, Randall, Zach, Joshua, Drew, Tyler, James, RJ, and anybody else that's raised, it's you're up for a pretty big challenge, and that's what I like. So I'm hoping that next season will be a very good segment, but also like to have fun as well. I think that's the most important thing.
Having fun is absolutely, just like you said, the number one most important thing for these races, and that was a lot of fun there at the end. And it's been a fun season so far here for you, Dunn. But Segment 2's in the book. Segment 3 is up on the horizon. But before we get into things here, we'll give you the floor for the hat dance. Thank any sponsors that you want. If there's anybody you want to shout out here on the NES Seren for a third-place finisher here tonight, Mr. Dunleprod, the floor is yours.
First and foremost, I want to shout out to you and Rich up on the booth. Shout out to Randall Coleman for the league. Shout out to him. Championship as well, to Randall. Shout out to Zach on the win. Shout out to everyone who raced here tonight and throughout the season and the whole year in this and at any point of this in the league this year as a whole. Trying to think, who else am I forgetting? Shout out to D. Far and shout out to everyone else for making me a better driver, and shout out to GeoGuessr for being calm down after that race. And I'm really enjoying playing this, so it's always fun to have a little bit of a fun activity to do to settle down after a very chaotic race like that. So once again, shout out to GeoGuessr for relaxing and very cool game. So
Absolutely, GeoGuessr. I've got to get back into that here myself, but Don, it's always a pleasure to talk with you post-race. We'll see you Wednesday night for the Fuel Clash, and hopefully we'll see if you can get a couple more GeoGuesses correct here, my good man. But until Wednesday, have a good rest of your week, and we'll see you for the preseason race here for Fuel Season 10. Have a good night, dude.
It's good night to you all.
That was Dunleprod, driver the number 47 Lazarus Chevrolet Camaro for LaPrade Enterprises. Your third place finisher here tonight, and we're going to go ahead and bring in our race winner. Definitely in dramatic fashion here tonight after dominating the race. We're going to bring in our winner here for our second interview, driver the number 6 Problematic Insurance Chevrolet Camaro. The Bulldog himself, Mr. Zach Rogers. You got a copy of us here in the broadcast booth.
Yeah, I got a copy. Sounds like we're having server issues again, but we'll ball.
Yeah, it's been a little bit touch and go here with the internet back and forth, but overall, that was certainly an end to the race. I'm not sure if Problematic Insurance is going to be too pleased with the way you won that race, but overall, congratulations on getting your first win in this paint scheme and your first one of the season as well. You definitely had to work in those final 5 laps to do so, dude.
Yeah, that was something. I thought it was over. I'm gonna be real. I nailed it off the turn 2 wall, and he's driving away, and I'm like, man, I don't know. I even said it over our team whisper. I don't know what he was doing in the moment, and then he told me after how he was doing it. So I'll let him explain how he was getting all that speed off exit. It was something that I wasn't doing. I don't know if I would have really pulled it off. He's kind of got a knack for driving some of these short tracks the way he does. But didn't want to wall him. Thought I could just maybe get in his door a teeny bit, and we would just that would maybe halt his momentum a tad, but instead it just put him in the wall. And then it kind of just bounced me left and just started spinning me out across the line. So pretty crazy. I haven't had a finish where I'm wrecking across the line in a few years. So, but I've had them before, believe it or not.
Absolutely. I was telling Rich it looked like the 3-wide finish of the that Elko race back in 2024 for the ARCA series. And funny enough, I got that highlights video recommended on my YouTube on my phone right now. So that's it proves our phones listen to us, for better or for worse. But overall, that was certainly an exciting finish. Especially for a race where it seems like a car handling was definitely going to be a sticking point for a lot of drivers. We knew the setup tonight was going to be a little bit looser than we saw at Iowa last week. And overall, just your thoughts on the setup and the race overall here tonight with everybody just flat out racing for the win, knowing that points weren't really a factor here with the championship pretty much locked up.
Yeah, it was looser than I remembered, but then I also remembered that Friday I drove a really tight setup at Fuel at Myrtle Beach, so I kind of figured it was a little bit of that, just talking. But yeah, I mean, it was a fun setup. You were in dirty air though, man. It was awful. The right front would just kind of burn up, and there was nothing you could really do with it. If you were in clean air and you could manage the pace, you could keep that right front close to the right rear. But if people were really pushing you hard, that right front would start to climb. But usually it was pretty okay if you were in clean air. So I felt like I needed to be in clean air as much as possible to not only manage my right front, but keep myself in the game. So there was a point there where I got behind Goose because I messed up the restart. So I just backed off a little bit, tried to take care of the right front. It looked like he had started to get tight before I did. Since we were entering the corners similarly, we were really attacking entry compared to Randall. And I saw him start to get tight. And I was like, okay, this is where I got to carry like that extra mile an hour through the middle of the corner and try to attack the exit as hard as I can. And I was able to get back under him. But he ended up staying in the lead because of the time of a caution. And then it kind of re-racked everything. But it was crazy fun.
It definitely was crazy fun. Rich and I were having a blast here calling that final lap. And Rich, I'll turn things over to you. Have you got anything for our race winner here tonight?
Oh, first off, congratulations on the race win. That was a exciting finish, to say the least. I don't know what your plans are for next season if you plan on running the full schedule, but if you do, what do you think you need to do in order to make a championship run?
I mean, I'll let the results speak for themselves because I won this title last year, winning like over half the races. So I don't really think I need to explain it. You just need to perform. And I mean, the way the point system is, it's not exactly like real life. So it's more about consistency than anything. I'll tell you one thing, if you want, my teammates got me a ton of breaks. And tonight I got a little hot there right at the end. And like I said, I wasn't trying to just straight up put him in the wall, but I put my owner and teammate in the wall, and it kind of takes away a little bit from the win. But Randall told me not to lose any sleep over it. He said we had fun, and I'll agree we had fun. And that's my 200th fixed setup win on this game, so kind of a crazy way to do it.
It definitely was, and that was, you know what, they don't ask how you do it, they just ask that you get the job done. And again, especially, I feel like it's because, and Rich and I mentioned this on the broadcast, since there weren't championship implications with that finish, and Randall had already locked out the championship at that point, no harm, no foul, just a couple of guys going for the same piece of real estate, and that's all it really was there at the end. But Zach, congratulations once again on the win, man. Congratulations on it being your 200 fixed setup career win.
Oh, actually, sorry. I need to correct. I must be out of it because I misquoted myself. It's my 200th cup physics win.
Gotcha. I wasn't sure if you had already eclipsed that mark yet, so that's why I was okay.
Yeah, I already
been a
eclipsed.
little bit, so
I eclipsed 200 fixed setup wins, I think, last year. But yeah, it's my 200th cup physics win. Sorry, I had to. It's time to go to bed, apparently.
It definitely is. I think that all of us probably have to get up like 4 a.m. for Monday work tomorrow, but we'll wrap things up here with the hat dance. We'll give you the chance to shout out anybody you want here on the NES Arena if there's anybody you want to shout out. For a winner here tonight, dominant driver leading north of 110 laps, Mr. Zach Rogers. The floor is yours.
I got to shout out Randall, of course, for putting on the league. And being a good teammate, good team owner. He's always very patient at the end of the races and really waits until I screw up to really make a move. He never dive bombs me or nothing. And I was sending the crap out of it at the end. I'm total opposite. When it's time to go for the win, I go for the win. As a cartoon character, Mark Wilde from Hot Wheels movie says, when I race, I race. And sometimes it's not good when you race like that, but like I said, Randall said it was cool and all good, so we'll move on to the next one. I got to shout you guys out for the broadcast, of course. Got to shout out my painter, Cody Lamas. Also got to shout out my other teammates, Josh Moyers and Tyler Stallhood, for racing me clean tonight. Always fun time racing them. I think Problematic Insurance is going to be okay with this because it's pretty much what the deal is. We're Problematic Insurance, and we're not paying Randall's quote or claim, so they can fix that crap themselves. They got Napa Auto Parts, so they'll be fine. So, yeah, Problematic Insurance ain't taking no claim. My car is fine, I think, so.
Pretty much, hey. And hey, first time seeing Problematic Insurance in Victory Lane here. Definitely worth the wait here after the last couple of races here. But Zach, always a pleasure to talk to you post-race. We definitely look forward to seeing you Wednesday night here for the Fuel Grand National Clash But overall, until then, have a good rest of your night, dude, and go to bed because you definitely. I think all of us need a little bit of rest after tonight's race. That was a fun one. It was a wild one too.
Amen, brother.
Have a good night, dude.
User was moved
That was
out of
Zach
your
Rogers,
channel.
driver of the number 6 Problematic Insurance Chevrolet Camaro Z01. For Revolution Motorsports, your race winner here tonight at the Richmond Raceway for the Virginia Showdown. But it's time to bring in our champion here tonight as Rogers already spun going past the start-finish line. We'll bring in our champion here in just a moment once I go ahead and say, you know what, I kind of need to get this graphic updated here. And we shall do so. We'll go ahead, we'll bring in the man
User
of
was
the
moved to your
hour.
channel.
The official champion coming into tonight of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series, segment number 2, Mr. Randall Coleman. You got a copy of us here in the booth?
I got you.
Well, that was certainly a race to the end there. But coming into tonight, you locked up the championship. First and foremost, congratulations on winning the championship in sheer dominating fashion. Rich and I were really talking about it all throughout the race, with the amount of tracks, all these short tracks we had here in the chase. Do you think they definitely helped out in your favor, given that's your best type of short track? Or your best type of track, I should say.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we talked about it right before the playoffs hit that we were hitting some of my favorite and better tracks that we normally run. So to be able to be contending every single week, especially in these playoffs, where that really matters the most, really showed the effort that we had and the advantage that we kind of were able to get with being able to run these type of tracks.
Absolutely, and that definitely dominated for you, finishing with an average finish of 1.25, if memory serves me. If my math is mathing, I'm not sure if it's mathing. It's somewhere in that ballpark. We'll do some quick calculations here. Yeah, an average finish of 1.25 here in the chase, which is just otherworldly. But coming into the race here tonight, you know that points are kind of a little bit arbitrary. You got to get maybe a couple of stage points over Moyers to officially clinch the championship. But the race was really arbitrary. The championship was already decided last week after a great run at Iowa. It was just a battle for the win. And I feel like that really transpired to the type of race we saw here tonight, where everybody was going for the same piece of real estate. We had 8 cautions on the board, and it came down to that incredible last lap pass between you, the battle between you and Zach. Just walk us through that entire final lap and how you're able to really get a lot of the runs off of the corner compared to him, and then just walk us through that last little sequence there.
So yeah, one thing we were talking about was I was watching a lot during practice and stuff, and I like to run these short tracks a little bit different than a lot of other people do. A lot of people like to just kind of go into the corner real deep and then get on the brake and then try to gas it, where I'm kind of a little bit of the opposite. Had some really good people back in the day teach me some things with short tracks, and one of the tracks that became one of my favorite tracks was Richmond, because of just being able to get down, hook the car right, and get down on the bottom of the track. So one thing we did, most people were hitting the chip on the front stretch. I wouldn't go all the way gung-ho on the chip. I would lift a lot earlier and kind of let it roll down, carrying that speed into the turn and dragging the brake just to get it slowed down enough. And if you could get it down to about 103, 104, compared to where everybody else was like trying to drop down to 100, you had a little bit more speed coming off the turn, which gave you a little bit more of an advantage, especially in 3 and 4. If you were able to arch it right in there the right way and get down to that bottom of that line without losing a whole bunch of speed, it really allowed you to take off. So that was one of the things we were down there talking about before he came up and whatnot. And I know he mentioned about it. So, yeah, we were just kind of talking about that, like the difference of how I could see him driving into the turn compared to where I lifted and kind of drove it in. And I would drag the brake a little bit. I'd drag it a little bit more probably what they did. They were hitting it probably a lot harder and then trying to gas it. And I feel like that was really was helping me get like a really good run off. But still, you got to go out here and race the race. Thought we had him beat there. He banged off the wall there a couple times, and that gave us an advantage to get underneath him, because that just slowed down his momentum just enough. And I think we went into 3 and 4. We were side by side, came to start finish line, I think we're still side by side, and then we finally got ahead of him in 1 and 2. But the last couple laps, I was too busy looking back behind me, seeing what he was going to do, because I knew he was frustrated, because he literally whispered on over whisper, and I could tell he was a little frustrated. He banged into the wall, lost the lead that way, so I knew he was going to come. But off of 3 and 4, I went too high, missed my mark. Almost got in the wall at the start finish line. I had to lift a little bit, so I lost momentum there. Went into 1 and 2, right there at the very end, and banged it off of turn 2. So not the way you want to do it. I've been known in the past to bang it off the wall, especially in crunch time. I've done that at Texas like 3 or 4 times. But if we wouldn't have did that, we probably wouldn't have had the situation we had right there at the very end. But didn't really matter. Championship was already locked up, so that beating and banging there at the very end, I knew he was aggressive. He wanted to win. I'm not going to take it too serious. That was another thing we kind of talked about. I told him, I'm like, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it tonight. He shouldn't lose any sleep over it. It's just hard racing. So it was fun.
Hey, a couple of veteran drivers banging at the end there. Just a couple of guys just banging to the end of the finish line. And it was just an absolute blast. Rich and I were jumping out of our seats there at that final lap. What a way to close out segment number 2. And Rich, I'll pass things over to you. But overall, that was quite a way to exit segment 2, and we'll look ahead to segment 3 here.
Well, first off, congratulations on being champion, especially with an average finish of 1.25. That's not exactly the easiest feat in the world. What do you think you need to do in order to follow up this championship with another next season?
Well, next season, we got a lot of tracks that's coming up that aren't in our wheelhouse. Worldwide Technology Raceway, we kind of struggle at a lot. I've never really figured that track out yet. Martinsville, we do really good at. We got 1 super speedway in there. Dover, I'm really good at. I love Dover. But I know we've had some Dover races with this track, this setup and everything at not only this league, but over at TDR and stuff. And I know what other drivers can do on it just as much as what I can do on it. So it's going to be a little bit more challenging next season, but I'm always looking forward to the, with Zach being back, being able to run now, Moyers being here week in and week out, being really, really strong. Tyler was able to pull off some wins last season. Drew was doing really good. Hopefully we get some more people in here to come in and race and compete, but we just got to take it race by race. We got some road courses in there, some of them that we're really good at, some of them that we aren't so good at, but we're going to do our best at. So race by race, we'll see where we're at. The last 4 races of the playoffs, we're back to 2 short tracks, a road course, and Homestead. So one of the 2 road or short tracks we're good at, the road course we're good at. So you never know. Homestead's going to be the deciding factor, I think.
It always is, and it's going to be a lot of fun. We'll take a look at the schedule as well. Like you said, we're talking about, we actually got 2 super speedways on here. We got both Daytona and Talladega, so we got both traditional super speedways on the card. We got at least 3 road courses. We got Lime Rock for race number 2. That's going to be a lot of fun. We got Gateway, Dover, Las Vegas, and then either Charlotte or Mid-Ohio. We got a couple of weeks where,
it's going to be Mid-Ohio.
All right, so I think everybody will be rejoicing after that. So Mid-Ohio will be on the card. We got New Hampshire, Talladega, Martinsville, either Milwaukee or Rockingham, most border Montreal, and like you talked about, Homestead to round it out. But, just from a league admin perspective, we'll switch over to there. Just looking at this schedule, a very diverse schedule, 3 road courses, 2 super speedways, plenty of short tracks, plenty of intermediates. Probably one of the most diverse schedules I've seen in quite some time, and it's going to be a challenge for a lot of drivers. What we saw here in segment 2, there was a lot of short tracks, particularly in the chase, that really suited the driving style of you, Zach, Josh. But here, it's all over the board, like you were talking about. So just from just a league admin perspective, if you want to break down just what you're looking to see here in segment 3 from a competition standpoint.
From a competition standpoint, I'm looking at, hopefully, like I said, we get some more drivers in, some new drivers. Some people that used to race here maybe come back now since the summer's kind of winding down. Kids are back in school and stuff, so not really out venturing out during the summer and stuff. So maybe we'll get more people coming in. That's going to be more indoors now. Like I said, we're getting closer to colder weather too. So if we can get some more people out here, just the number of people, the variety of the tracks, um, different skills for everybody. Like we got some road courses on there. We got some guys who are really good at road courses. We got some guys who are really good at short tracks. So I think we're going to see a little bit more diversity. Um, Even with Zach being back, I think that we're still going to have a lot more different winners than what we've had. Which we've had a really good group of number of drivers this season that have come out here and won races. So um, hopefully we can keep that momentum going into segment 3. There is still an overall championship that's going on, so I gotta get all that updated while we're gone. So we'll see how that winds up. But yeah, not only do we have those 3 segments, we have that overall one too. So you know, anybody that wants to come out here and race, they're more than welcome to. Um, you know, you've seen the type of competition that's out here, the type of people that race. Um, don't get discouraged over the end of that race. That was just 2 guys having fun going at it. So
That's all it's all about.
yeah, nothing ill intent, nothing for anybody to get like, oh, I'm not going to that place because I don't want to get wrecked for the win or anything like that. No, it's just 2 guys going for it. Points didn't matter. So, but yeah, a lot of people here have fun. They're respectful, so good place to come out and race.
It absolutely is. And again, link for the Discord server is going to be down in the description box below. And ultimately, again, you guys put on just a very underrated league here. It's an underrated gem in terms of NR2003 online racing compared to some of the other stuff we see. And overall, a very clean league as well, a very competitive league, and just a lot of fun, a very tight-knit community that's always looking to expand. We've seen it over on the fuel side of things with Tyler Stallhood and what they've been able to do in the last year. And like we're talking about, link for the past Discord server in the description box below. Racing on Sunday nights here on the NESRN. Most of these races are broadcasted. Again, a big thanks to James Moore for footing the bill on a lot of these broadcasts, and hopefully we'll look to get a couple of those, a little bit more broadcasts here for next season as well. But Randall, we'll give you the floor as a champion to thank anybody that you want here during the hat dance. If there's anybody you want to shout out here, we know who number 1's going to be, obviously. But for our second place finisher in the Virginia Showdown and our segment 2 champion, Mr. Randall Coleman, the floor is all yours, my man.
Gotta give a shout to the girlfriend. She lets me come over here every weekend. She lets me come over here and race. I know she likes rather spend time with me, but she gives up for an hour, 2 hours, whatever it is, to come out here and race with the guys. Actually, I think it's like been 3 hours, but don't tell her that. But shout out to her. Shout out to y'all for coming out here, putting these races on, for everybody to be able to watch them. Like I said, I always go back and rewatch everything to make it, I like watching it, seeing how the race was ran and whatnot. So shout out to y'all. Shout out to James Moore for doing the sponsoring. Like you said, hopefully we can get with him here in the next week or so and get some stuff figured out for what we can do for segment 3. That goes for anybody else that wants to throw their hand in the hat and wants to sponsor a race. Just reach out, let me know, let you know. Give a shout out to all these guys that come out here week in and week out and race. Without them, we wouldn't have the league that we have. We wouldn't have the group of people that we have. So couldn't be more thankful to have this group of people out here to race week in and week out with. Give a shout out to my teammates, Zach, Josh, Tyler. Those guys, they, as I've always said, they push me each week. And really trying to get that 4 in a row, trying to get that 4 in a row like Zach did. But he decided to put a halt to that. So it was fun. Had fun with it. It just makes me want to now go out here next season and kick his ass somewhere. I don't know where yet, but maybe we can do that at one of these tracks next season. But no, it's always fun. He brings the competition level up a little bit more every time he shows up and races, and I'm glad to have somebody like that who's a teammate, not only a teammate but a friend. They'll come out here and race and know what he brings to the table. So same way with Josh, same way with Tyler. Those guys came out here this season. Tyler got some wins. Josh got some wins. Josh won the Segment 1 championship, Segment 2 championship. Hopefully we can keep the Revolution Motorsports championship streak going on, like Zach won it last year and we did a full season. Now Josh and me both won. So maybe Tyler wins that Segment 3. Maybe Zach comes back and wins another one. Maybe me and Josh win back or gets 2. So who knows? Would be fun to see. But definitely looking forward to Segment 3.
Absolutely. It's going to be so much fun. You can find the majority of the action right here on the North American Sim Racing Network. But that's all we've got for you, Randall. Congratulations on winning the Segment 2 championship, and we'll look forward to Segment 3. Like we've been saying, a lot of diversity. It's going to be a blast, and we can't wait for it. Starting up here with the points races in 2 weeks, we got an exhibition at Sobo next week, which unfortunately won't be broadcasted here on the NESRN. I'll be over at the Springfield Mile that night. But we'll go ahead. We'll let you celebrate with your team, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys at the High Banks of Daytona in 2 weeks' time here on the NESRN. But until then, have a good night, dude.
Thank you.
That was Randall Coleman, driver of the number 9 Napa Auto Parts Chevrolet Camaro for Revolution Motorsports, your runner-up finisher here tonight at the Richmond Raceway, and your Segment 2 champion for the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series. And that will do it here, ultimately, as we see the aftermath of that incredible incident on the last lap. Rich, before we get out of Dodge here, any final thoughts on the race as we'll take a look at the upcoming schedule here for the NESRN on your screen. But my goodness, Fast always puts on just these underrated gems of a races, and we definitely saw that here tonight.
Yeah, good luck topping that anywhere. Especially in the next few races. I don't think you're going to get a finish like that. You might get one at Daytona, but for at least Fast and Fuel wise on the short tracks, this is the best I think we've seen in quite some time.
It definitely was, and again, you look just at all the incredible finishes we've had just in the last 5 months alone here on the NESRN. Dating all the way back to the beginning of the season, or the middle of May, so the beginning of the Fast season, the beginning of Season 9 for Fuel Grand National as well. All the close finishes, I think on the NESRN, probably at least a good chunk of the closest finishes in channel history have come in the last 5 months, both online and offline. Of course, the closest finish on the NESRN coming a couple of weeks ago at the end of the Great American Big One A-Main. That was a ton of fun. That was, I had to spend a couple of days figuring out, exactly who won that race, but that was a ton of fun. Tonight was a ton of fun. Segment 2 was a lot of fun in general, and we're just getting started. Like you've been seeing on your screen, we got Fuel Grand National right back on the horizon. MBCS on the offline side of things, they're entering their final 2 races of the regular season. This upcoming Saturday and the Saturday after that. Pockmarket in between, we've got a whole slew of races. 3 races, the World Center of Racing, in the next 2 weeks here on the NESRN. We got Las Vegas coming up for Fuel Sportsman, and of course we've got the season opener from Daytona for Segment 3 here for Fast. But that will do it here for tonight's broadcast on the North American Sim Racing Network, like we're talking about. Next Fast RPCS race will be on Sunday, August 30th at 8:50 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time, right here on your home for the Fast Racing League, the North American Sim Racing Network. But that will do it for tonight's broadcast, and on behalf of everybody from the Fast Racing League, for Randall Coleman, for Tyler Stolhood, for everybody that makes these races possible, from English is hard, ladies and gentlemen, from my broadcasting partner Rich Roy and everybody at the North American Sim Racing Network, my name is Trey Wright, saying so long for the Richmond Raceway. This concludes tonight's broadcast of the Fast Renegade Pro Cup Series on your home for the Fast Racing League, the NESRN. Congratulations to Randall Coleman on the championship. Congratulations to Zach Rogers on the win. We'll see y'all next year on Wednesday night for Fuel, for the 3rd annual Fuel Clash. And until then, have a good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Enjoy what's left of your Sunday night here. And we'll see y'all this upcoming Wednesday for the start of Fuel Season 10. Have a good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see y'all on the next track.